but it was just a dark time for me. All the while, I thought that I wasn't enough. On top of my grief and not truly getting to mourn.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome to the Lean Podcast, Ladies Empowerment and Alignment Network. I'm your host, Mahogany, and this is Season 2. Let's start with a short prayer. God, I pray this season speaks to every heart listening. May these stories ignite purpose, restore hope, and remind each woman that she is never alone. Amen. All right, y'all, what is up? I am back with Season 2, and today I have with us Chrys at the Monthly. Chrys is this beautiful, marvelous person that I've met through a nonprofit foundation. She's always giving back in all the ways that she can give back to her community, always showing up in all the ways that it matters. And she's just an overall phenomenal, real woman who has also endured things in life, such as grief, and she's willing to open up and share with us today, y'all. So let's just turn our volume up and just really pull from this story and realize how it can align with our own lives and our own stories. So, Chrys, thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. That was that was super intentional and that was beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Doing good. Trying to beat this heat and because this summertime in Oklahoma is real. So yeah, outside of that, all is well.
It is real. Tell me about it. We're in Texas and it's real.
For sure.
Um, Chrys, can you give us a little background about who you are today, the different things and organizations that you're involved with, and what you do?
Absolutely. So, I am the founder and host of the monthly podcast. I am a PCOS and endometriosis survivor for a little over 15 years now. And I created that podcast.
Hold on. You paused. Well, I don't hear your voice. You can't hear my voice either? No, you don't hear me? Hold on. Something's going on. Hold on. That's weird. Pause. All right, we're back on.
Okay, I am a PCOS and endometriosis survivor for a little over 15 years now. And I created that podcast just for some normalcy, and to shed light on different reproductive conditions, how to advocate for yourself, whether you have, people that can advocate for you or you have to do it for yourself. If you told me that I've been able to meet the people that I've met, and experience and be able to help some of the people that I've helped, being able to do this work. Reproductive health is something that is a huge problem in this country right now. We all know with the headlines and the articles and things we've been seeing how things are. And those are the reasons why I do what I do with the monthly. I just try to educate others while I educate myself on reproductive health, reproductive rights, and just how to be more positive around that subject. I'm a self-published author as well. I also have a nonprofit called the Ink Advocates of Oklahoma, where we get menstrual products into the hands of anybody in need. Period poverty is also a very real thing within the scope of reproductive health, and I'm just trying to do my little part in my little place of the world to help as many people possible.
I love that so much, how you were able to take something that you were struggling with and finding ways that other people were going without and just giving them that education or that advocate or the opportunity to learn more. And especially when it comes to the products, like a lot of things that we take for granted, a lot of people are just like, man, I wish I had that.
Right, literally.
Man, so it sounds like you are someone, and I can tell but just from the time of knowing you, you really just care about others and you really just take your position here on earth and what you are here to do serious and just really pressing forward with that. If you could just take us to the beginning of your story, maybe start with us around childhood and just walk us through some of the things that you've encountered leading up to grief.
Yeah, so grief, like most families in my family, kind of ran rampant. Um, Lost my grandmom in 2016. Um, Luckily, she was able to see three of the four of us graduate, marry, have children, and things of that nature. So outside of like extended family and or other members of my family, um, grief didn't hit really hard for me until then. Leading up until then, I had a pretty kosher childhood. I had a pretty normal childhood, if you ask me. My normal was my mom and grandma raising me and my two sisters and my brother. And but they provided and they instilled advice and all of the morals and values that are good and just for us to be good people in the world. But for me, grief and just turmoil again and things like that didn't really hit for me until like my early adulthood, 18, 19 years old, and the like. So after I left college, I went to Prairie View A&M through the years 2006 through like 2008. um I started having reproductive issues, and it led to me not knowing what was really going on with my body at the time. um on the other side of that, mentally, I wasn't in the best headspace. Um, and unfortunately, my familial component wasn't always active and or there in my life to help me navigate the things I was feeling, the things I was, witnessing and experiencing. Fast forward, when I turned 25, I found out that I had PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. It is pretty much an issue when your cycles and things like that are bad. It's because your uterine lining isn't shedding like it's supposed to in a regular cycle. And it can cause for a lot of issues. And that's when I really started to navigate what to do from there. I was actively dating, and I met a man, and we were together a very long term. He was very aware of my diagnosis and things of that nature. And so, in the beginning of that relationship, um, he seemed all in. When I would get sick, going to the hospital and things of that nature, he would always be there for me. So when I turned 29, fast forward, I had to have surgery. I had to have a fibroid surgery. And but before that, my grandma was really sick. Her Alzheimer's had progressed. And so it was just a really dark time. And not knowing at that time when we were getting ready to lose my grandma, because um, fortunately for our family, we had that time. We knew her health was declining, and we were able to embrace and be around her. But personally, it was just still a dark time for me because, again, that type of grief was the closest or the most direct to me, as far as like family and stuff is concerned, or important people in my life. By this time, me and this gentleman had married. We had been married like at least 2 years at this point, when we were about to lose my grandma, and he lost his grandma. So you would think naturally he would be able to shed light or pour into me in some regard. Ended up losing my grandma. She passed away November 20th, 2016. My husband was not there for me. My ex-husband was not there for me in any regard. I went through that grief all by myself. All by myself. Little did I know, again, he was using crystal meth, um, right under my nose. So him not being emotionally available, um, physically available, even in that time when I lost my grandmom, it was due to he'd been using. So he was despondent. He wasn't even there half the time. I learned this. So my grandmom passed November of 2016, in like March of 2017. So of course, as his helpmate, let's get you help. Let's find therapy. Let's find rehab. Let's find whatever we need to do to help, because there's no way I'm going to stand by in a marriage and allow my significant other to decline. There's no way. Like, who would do that? Um, but he did not make that easy. It's kind of like a lead a horse to water, can't make him drink situation for sure. Um, He continued to use. It became progressive, to the point he started being verbally abusive at first, started to disappear a lot. And in this time, my PCOS was in overdrive. I was under a lot of stress. I was always having to make sure the ends are met because he was using, so I was the breadwinner. I was the person working and making the money for the bills and stuff, but my body is declining, and all the while. So September of 2017, again, I had to have a uterine fibroid surgery. um he was responsible for getting me to the hospital to pre-op, but he berated me the entire time. It was hard because, again, my family is small, but we were not cohesive at the time. And my grandma would have been the only person I felt comfortable running to, dealing with what I was dealing with at home. Um, so that was September of 2017. In that 6 to 8 weeks of recovery after I had that surgery, um, not only did he not provide for me, physically, because I was incapable of doing my own things, he also assaulted me. He stomped me out in a tub in my incisions, and my fallopian tube ruptured from that happening. Um, 2 months after that, he tried to murder me, with a knife in the kitchen of our home. From there, he got arrested, um, served some time, but of course, after that, we split. But he continued to do more things. He went on to, have cases with other women, unfortunately, um, domestic violence cases. Um, but it was just a dark time for me. All the while, I thought that I wasn't enough. On top of my grief and not truly getting to mourn my grandma, on top of not really having family and or loved ones to really console and comfort, and then I was just secretly in my own hell. Um, so it was a really dark time. Um,
So going through all those different situations and life is just coming at you full speed.
yeah.
How did you or who did you lean on during that time of such isolation?
It was a lot of prayer and self-reflection. It's just, I don't know, when you're talking about something that, that you've been through, and then you really thinking, you looking back on it in retrospect, it was just such a weird, it was an eerie time. Um, one of my sisters, like, she was there, like, to help me, with the logistical part of things, getting things packed up and, moving into safety and stuff like that. But, you know, people have their own lives too. So outside of her, like, I really didn't have anybody in the physical. All I could do was just continue to pray to God and just continue to ask the Most High for the strength, because that was one of those situations where that stuff you see on, like, Lifetime movies, and and TV shows and stuff, until you've experienced something like that. Sometimes it's even a shell shock to even voice that to somebody else. Um, so on top of it, it wasn't even just, oh, nobody wanted to be there for me. I was scared for someone to be there for me. I didn't know if that information would make it out somewhere. I didn't know if that information would be too heavy for that person to take on due to the nature of what it was. I didn't want to inconvenience, anyone. So, um, outside of just literal prayer and mental fasting, you know, off the social media, limiting, things you're seeing, um, not communicating with negativity, because again, at that time, outside of my sister, I personally didn't really have anybody in my corner. And his family was attacking me at all angles. They thought I'd done something for him to go to jail. They had always taken his side in it. And there was no real side. They didn't believe me that he was using like, and they were miles away. They weren't even in, because I was still at home in Texas at the time. And, so it was a lot of loneliness to navigate. But, I grew up in God. My grandmom and my mama didn't play about that. So it wasn't like I felt like a lost soul or anything.
Mhm.
It was just outside of him, I truly had nobody. And he's truly like, it was almost like as if, that veil was put down, and it blocked everybody else out, so that I probably could needed to be focusing on him and, what he needed me to do next.
Mhm. Wow. How did you hear from God in such like a time of turmoil? Like, does He speak to you through dreams during that time, or did you have intuitions? Did you have visions, or like what was your like? Okay, this is a clue to my next step.
Um, Literally him taking things and opportunities and stuff away from me so I can get it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Literally, the friends that I thought I had, the people that I thought I had backing me, even down to where I was working at the time. My car, he took it. Like, this was like 2 months after the incident, and I had to move, of course, and move pretty much to a safe space, and um, was headed out for a funeral and walked outside to my car, gone. It had been towed back by the car dealership. He had been paying the note on it because he'd been using. I did not know that. There were other bills I was like responsible for, and and then there's the mental thing again, right? Well, maybe I should have done this, and you're beating yourself up when in reality, you held yourself accountable for your part in things, or you did what you were supposed to do, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. But again, I said all that to say God truly pulled things away from me so that I could focus. So it was literal, again, opportunities being missed or closed to me, and literal things being taken away for me to just really focus and get it. Because I
Hmm.
had all the tools and resources in front of me. Some of them I wasn't using wisely and neglecting. He wanted me to see how I needed to walk into that next chapter of my life.
Wow. I know a lot of times when people are experiencing that in life, having things taken from them, it puts them deeper in the hole. It makes
Right.
them feel worse about themselves. Like, wait, why is all this happening to me right now in this moment? Like,
Right.
my grandmother, my rock passed away. Like, my husband, who I trusted, is off on drugs, tripping on me, hurting me. Now my car's gone. I'm at a funeral. Like, how worse can it get?
Yeah.
How did you keep yourself from going into the dark space with all of this that's happening to you versus like, okay, I do accept this as a sign from God that I need to go this way? Like, how does one decide to go towards the dark or the light when life is coming at them like that?
That is literally choosing optimism. You can allow your thoughts to dwell on the negative. There's always two sides, right? It's really what you choose to do. Are you comfortable with being comfortable with where you are, with why you're sad, with why you're hurting? Or would you rather choose something better, because now you're capable of those things? Maybe you were blindsided or you were blocked before, but now you have that capability. Are we going to dwell on, well, these are the reasons why I wasn't able to do those things, or do we take this opportunity that's now in front of us? Now this opportunity presents itself. What are you going to do with that? And it was a literal, what was I going to do with this situation? It was still ugly, but for me it was beautiful because I was able to reclaim my time and reclaim, my power, and how I look at life. Am I still going to grieve what I can't fix, or am I going to really take this leap? And I did. I went back to school, made the dean's list when I went back to school. I put so many things on pause for myself to be a wife, which is not a bad thing. But it's like when you're on the other side of that, if unfortunately another side presents itself, it's like, well, dang, this is all the stuff I had to like halt really quick, and I could have been doing XYZ, but now I'm doing it. So let's go full throttle. It's literally, I feel like it's always a choice. It's always a choice, and I don't even want to seem callous because some people truly don't have the mental strength to choose that optimism. And so when people are in that place, they have to know and realize that they are more, um, and that there is another side for them. And even however long they decide to dwell in whatever the funk or whatever the toxicity is, know on the other side there is that way out, and allot yourself that to get out. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so much. That's so powerful. When it comes to grieving two things so close together, back to back, how are you able to fully, I mean, if you are, I don't think grief ever is just fully done, but how do you even grieve your grandmother when life is now forcing you to like grieve this, lost marriage and this lost person that you love so much? Like, how did you split your focus when it comes to grieving on those two things?
So at that time, because to be honest with you, I haven't even really fully visited the grief that is my grandmother passing. That is just me being transparent. Um, when you try to do the work, you can either a only go so far, or that's just not something you should be doing. And um, I've come to the conclusion that for me, I have therapy for that component. But in the moment, grieving my grandma and grieving the lost marriage was rough. I I was, because it sounds so cliche, but the lowest of the low is like not even how to scale it. I was in a place I felt like I was the smallest, most non-factor in the world. It was like a huge fall from grace, because there's a certain type of security you have when you have all the things you feel like that's around you for you to function as a person. And then you take two big blows of those types of caliber, and you're alone in that. It's painful. I never had like, suicidal ideations or anything like that, but you just feel like, well, what am I doing here?
Mhm.
What purpose do I really serve here right now? I am nothing more than just, I'm not thriving. I'm not even existing at this point. That is literally how I felt. I just
Mhm.
wanted to I just wanted to like just disintegrate, just fade to black. You know what I mean? I just felt so low. And then it's always the what ifs. Like that is just commonplace, that those what ifs are always going to enter your mind. But then again, that's where that choice comes in, right? Um of optimism, of knowing you're above your current situation. Um and for me it was just a matter of timing, um and continuing to listen to God, and keeping focused on what he saw for me to see for my own life.
I love it. What have you been able to birth from these heartbreaking situations? Did the monthly already exist prior to all this and the different things that you're doing in the community, or did those happen as a result of going through this hard season?
Yes. So the monthly was a few years later, fortunately. In 2019, I moved to Oklahoma from Texas, because by this time, I mean, it's just me. I had that luxury. I didn't want to be too far from my family, but I wanted to be far enough to where I could just reset. And that is exactly what I did. In that, I found my current partner. We had already been friends for years prior, but just for from a relationship standpoint, um, we reconnected. And my current partner was a pivotal force within me dealing with my grandmother's death and my ex-husband's situation. They were there for me after the whole leaving, moving to a safe space. Once I was in school and um pretty much mentally had accepted, right, what had happened to me. um Again, like I said, we had rekindled in 2016, right before my grandma passed. But it was virtual communication because they were overseas at the time. They played basketball at the time and was overseas. um and they were a very pivotal part of bridging that gap, just for me to see a better me. And the monthly came about because it came from something that happened at a job that I had. I wasn't seen for my disability, because whether people want to admit it or not, PCOS, PMDD, and other reproductive conditions are disabilities. And before, I would just be timid and just accept whatever narrative, whatever answer, whatever is given to me. Even in health, I accepted whatever doctor told me. Whatever, I was misdiagnosed. There were so many things that I just accepted, and I feel like that attributed to the mental headspace that I was also in at the time. I wasn't my greatest mentally, so okay, if you're saying I have gallstones, okay, let's whatever it is, I just want it out or done. But um with all of those closed doors and those no's, segueing into this current part of my life, my mid 30s to where I am now, um the monthly progressed because of my partner. If she was not there, I don't think the monthly would have been what it was. It would have been an iteration of something, but being able to lobby for, politically for reproductive health, being able to go and speak in spaces and help others, being able to give to those in need, like, I don't think that would have been the trajectory, had it not been for my partner, had it not been for the experiences that I took by the reins and made life from it, to be able to relate to others, um so that I could help others.
Mhm.
um yeah, granted, again, the monthly didn't come till a few years later, even probably like 4 or 5 years later, but all of the events leading up to that, especially in that time that we've been talking about, definitely is still apparent in the work that I do now. Because how many cases of domestic violence go unheard before that person is hurt severely or worse? How many cases do we hear of a person being misdiagnosed for some type of health condition, any type of health condition, honestly, before they're severely, pained or worse? And so just being able to give accurate information, and again being able to help the masses, just as many people as possible. um my life has definitely sent me in a very unique pattern.
Man, I love it. That's so awesome. What would you say to like someone who's in the thick of life happening, whether it's grief, whether it's disappointments and hurts and losses? How can they prepare or search out for the purpose of all that? Like, we could
Right,
say that, well, Chrys went through these things and had these experiences because she had to birth this project that would have otherwise not come.
right.
So what are signs or what hope can someone hold on to as they're going through life? and allow it to point them in the direction of their purpose?
So for me, to others, and again, this is from lived experience, is truly knowing what you possess and strengthening that. Because people, situations, hell, your job can make you feel so small, or feel like you're that insignificant to where you don't matter or you don't have a placeholder in the world. That is not true.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true. Being in the thick of a thing, or some grief, or whatever it is that you're holding, whatever hurt that you're holding space for, it's okay to hold space for that hurt, but it has to be temporary. It has to be temporary. You still have life to live, and the longer you allow whatever that pain or that grief or that hurt is to consume you, there's no way you're going to be able to step out in front of that grief, which is very much, you can do that. But there are people right now that probably will hear this and say, well, she's not even speaking to what I got, or she couldn't even imagine what I have going on. No, I could not. But you are still breathing and thriving enough to even see this. And it may not, you may not care about it for 2 years, what you heard. But one day something will hit and it'll make sense, and then you'll listen. And then you'll be like, okay, so this is what this meant. Okay, I am better than this. Okay, I can do this. I'm capable of life. I'm capable of being all I want to be and more. And for me, I think I'm in the and more stage of that, because even being in the thick of things, especially if it's something you've been in the thick of before, you know what you did before that you didn't like, for it to pan out the way that it did. Try not to do that this time. You can't keep garnering those same results to keep you in the thick of that. Move away from that. Try new solutions. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we need more community as well. Just in general, people just need to be there for people. The state of things and how things are, we need community. We need community. We need it. You do not know what that person you are working next to in that cubicle is going through. You don't know what that person in the pew at church is going through next to you. The person on the bus, the table, other table at the restaurant. You don't know. And so in that, we really need to give grace, even to those people in the thick of it, because they might not want to see right now that there is better, but hold space for those people, because either A, you've been through that situation, or you've seen that situation play out, but you can be of positive service to that person. I feel like that's what it's really all about.
I agree. Man, you're so powerful. You've shared some awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Uh, for real. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like connecting so many dots in my head. I'm like, oh man, I know I need to send this. I need to send this person, this person, this person. That's good stuff.
Real. Hey, that's what it's all about. Reach one, teach one, right? Like, if I'm helping one person, I've done my job. I've
I
done
love
my
that.
job. You're supposed to spread good word. You're supposed to want, my mom and my grandma always said, love on and help your fellow man. No matter what. I don't care what you look like next to me. And it's respect and all of the good things, the golden rule, all of the morals and values. But of course we know that gets muddled, but it's what you do. You can't account for the next person or whatever. All you can do is what you can do, and pray that what you're doing kind of supersedes whatever the negativity is.
Yes. Wow. What are some last words that you would just like to leave with our audience? I know we come here to the Ladies Empowerment Network podcast to feel like life has been breathed into us when we have nothing left or we're in the muck of things. And just hearing these stories alone is enough. But what would you tell a woman who is either in a domestic situation or they found themselves experiencing grief of a loved one?
So what I would say, especially for, because women, as when we are so multifaceted, right? Even if we don't recognize it, we are, just by nature. We birth life, we nurture, we are all these things. And there's a lot of dynamics of family and or relationships, whether it be personal or professional, where we still just kind of, through all of it, even right behind that mask, knowing that you are literally crying your eyelashes or your mascara off, like, and
Mm-hmm.
people aren't seeing that. And you, even though you may be feeling seen, you don't feel seen in the way you feel like you should feel seen, or you don't feel like you're being heard, or you just, again, it's just you feeling that insignificant to where you feel you're nothing. Give yourself the 30 minutes, the hour, the day, the week of woosah. Go have that spa day and not feel guilty about it. Respectfully let someone know how you're feeling, to either A, make light of a situation, or B, separate yourself from a situation. When you're in some type of grief and you feel as if you can't get control of it, it's not for you to control.
Mm-hmm.
You are who you can control. Leave your mind and your eyes and your ears open and receptive to positivity, even if you feel you can't use it at the current moment. Those are things that need to replenish you mentally, spiritually, physically for later. You just don't see that yet. These are just, again, lived experiences. These are some of the things that I had to do for myself to know that I'm still that girl, that I still can recenter, that I still can back up and punt, that it's still okay to mess up. It's okay. And if you don't feel like it is, it will be, no matter how much time you take to do that. But don't waste it and don't backtrack.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that. That's so powerful for us all. Especially just
Literally,
put it in your pocket. You don't know when you're gonna need it. Just be ready.
be ready for it.
Because we spoke about life, and it just comes. That's just what it does. So you just got to be
Literally.
prepared.
Yes, just prepare yourself. Each time, it's a level up each time. Because once you're out of the thick of whatever it is, you're on the other side of that, you've leveled up. Whether you realize it or not, you've totally leveled up, because you are now at a pinnacle of yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, where, okay, I can look at that and now I can be of service to somebody else
Mm-hmm.
that could potentially or is potentially dealing with what I just came out of.
Yes.
Let me be of service. Let me pour into somebody. Use it for good. Even though it was
Mm-hmm.
bad for me,
Right.
let's spin it for good for somebody else.
Yes. Yes. Girl, preach. I don't think I ever clapped on. I don't think I ever clapped on here yet. That was good. Um, where can our ladies and whoever's listening find you if they want to connect?
Awesome. Yes. So I am at the monthly, THA monthly, all one word, on all platforms, all digital streaming platforms. I'm on YouTube for visual episodes of my podcast. And of course, you can listen to any audio version. I also have a spin-off version, the monthly After Dark. It's a little more spicier. So if you like spicy, that could be for you. And from there, in those bios, it'll direct you to my website, any articles that have been done on me, or other things that I've gotten into. And we are at INKK.advocates for the Ink Advocates of Oklahoma. We are always accepting donations for menstrual products, disposable and reusable, meaning cups, period, underwear, and the like, discs, and things like that. I get a lot of diapers too. So diapers are okay. I have doula friends and such that have diaper banks. So at INKK.advocates on Instagram for the Ink Advocates of Oklahoma, and at THA Monthly for the podcast and everything else.
Sweet. Well, Chrys, I really appreciate you hopping on and sharing your beautiful story, a story that you've made so beautiful through what you've created. So we really appreciate you.
It's been my absolute pleasure, Mahogany. Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time.
See you later.